The movie begins in the cold forests of Scotland, where a couple is camping and enjoying the calm of nature. The girl gives her boyfriend a large silver dagger as a gift, but it is a strange and mysterious one. At sunrise, they hear someone opening their tent, and the girl is grabbed by a savage hand and violently shaken until the creature eats half of her. The young man tries to reach the silver dagger but is also attacked. 2 hours earlier, in northern Wales, a man is trying to escape through the foggy forest from a group of British soldiers. He manages to take down a few of the warriors, but the rest eventually capture him. It is later revealed that this was a skills test, and the man is a soldier named Cooper. His commander tells him that his performance was excellent, but then gives him a shocking order to shoot the unit's dog. Cooper is confused, refusing to carry out what he sees as a senseless act. The captain tells him he has failed the test and shoots the dog himself. Cooper loses control and attacks the captain, but he is overpowered and thrown to the ground. The remaining soldiers are ordered to replace him. 4 weeks later, in the Scottish Highlands, a team of British soldiers is dropped by helicopter into the middle of the forest for a training exercise to breach enemy lines. After hours of walking near a river, they take a break. Cooper is now part of the team. He talks with his teammates about the attack on the couple a week earlier, saying their bodies disappeared and the tent was torn and covered in blood. He adds that strange and violent things have been happening in the area, but the training must continue. The soldiers move deeper into the forest until night falls, and they set up camp to rest. The only light comes from the campfire. Sergeant Harry tells them about his terrifying missions when suddenly a dead cow is thrown into the fire. Blood splashes everywhere, and the soldiers panic and start firing at it before being ordered to stop. They examine the body and find bite marks. The sergeant refuses to send a report, dismissing it as just a cow, and decides they will take shifts on guard until dawn. At sunrise, they follow the tracks left by the dead cow and discover blood and remains of other animals. From a distance, they see a distress signal in the sky sent by a team member who went ahead to scout. When they arrive, they find a horrifying scene: human organs and body parts scattered everywhere. Surprisingly, the weapons and ammunition are untouched. The captain appears behind the crates, looking increasingly insane, with huge claw marks across his chest. Despite his hatred for him, Cooper tries to help. One of the soldiers attempts to call for air support via radio, but there is no signal, and another team's radio is also broken. It turns out that a special forces unit led by Ryan is secretly in the area hunting a creature. Ryan is scanning the region with night vision goggles, sensing something is following him. Suddenly, the creature attacks them. As night falls, they set up another camp. The sergeant announces that the training is over and has turned into a real survival mission. Everyone loads their weapons and prepares ammunition, but Ryan warns them it won't help and they should escape before the creatures tear them apart. At that moment, the team hears a terrifying scream coming from the forest. The sergeant orders them to form 3 lines and retreat. Part of the group covers the rear while the others follow him through open ground. Cooper ends up alone, standing guard in the sound of wind moving through the trees. He sees something moving and fires several times, but his weapon jams. He runs in panic with the creature chasing him at full speed through the dense forest. In the end, he is impaled in the chest by a tree branch like a spear and killed. Meanwhile, Sergeant Harry explores the area alone. He notices scattered blood and is suddenly attacked by a werewolf. He shoots it several times and manages to hit it, but another one attacks him, slashing his stomach and exposing his insides. Cooper appears again at that moment and shoots several of the creatures. The sergeant screams in unbearable pain while Cooper tries to stop the bleeding. The two of them run through the forest, firing at the werewolves behind them as the rest of the team regroups and continues retreating. The soldiers unleash all their firepower against the fast and silent creatures. Soon, they spot headlights from a car in the distance, and realize it might be their only chance to escape. One soldier jumps onto the road to stop it. They force their way into the vehicle, where a woman is driving. When she tries to start the car, the steering wheel malfunctions, and the werewolves surround them, tearing into the roof and trying to break inside. The soldiers fight back with knives, cutting at the creature's arm until the woman finally manages to restart the car and escape, at least temporarily. She introduces herself as Megan and says there is a farmhouse in the valley belonging to her friends, where they might find safety. They arrive at the location in thick fog, but no one answers the door. Cooper and another soldier enter the house to investigate. Everything looks normal. The dinner table is set, the stove is on, and soup is cooking. Then Cooper hears a strange noise behind the door. When they opened the door, a dog startled them, but fortunately it was a friendly one. It didn't attack them and even behaved calmly. It turned out that no residents were actually there, so the entire team went inside and started organizing themselves. Cooper took command because the sergeant was badly injured and screaming in pain. The woman said there was no phone in the cabin and the nearest town was 4 hours away, so Cooper decided they should take the car and go there for help. Cooper went with another soldier to the area where the car had been parked. When they arrived, they saw a distress signal, but the car was completely destroyed and werewolves were everywhere. Cooper ordered the soldier to stay put and protect the woman while he went to check if there was another way out. He told him to stay calm and not to fire unless given the signal. The two entered the house. Because of gunfire hitting the fuel tank, the vehicle had been completely disabled. The werewolves tried to push the door open and break in through the gap, but Cooper managed to close it with difficulty. He then aimed his weapon through a small opening and shot at anything outside. The sergeant was furious and tightened the dog's bandage. Captain Ryan could have shot the dog earlier, but Soldier Terry stepped in during the panic and saved it. At this moment, Cooper had to calm everyone down, especially the captain, who had strong leadership skills. He ordered Terry to boil water so they would have something to drink. They nailed wood over the windows and cabinets, and secured the door. The werewolves were still surrounding the house between the trees, and even gunfire from the soldiers had no effect on them. The creatures weren't moving away. The soldiers gathered any usable weapons inside the house, including medieval swords and a chainsaw from the kitchen. With Megan's help, Cooper went to treat the sergeant's wound. They lifted him up and applied a blue iodine-like substance to the cuts in his stomach, causing Harry to scream in pain. Everyone was disturbed by his suffering, so the sergeant asked Cooper to punch him in the face to knock him out so they could continue treatment. Cooper did exactly that and knocked him unconscious. Cooper was still hesitant to believe these creatures were werewolves, but Megan said she had been studying them for 2 years and that before the night ended, he would believe it too. She told the soldiers they were fighting a pack of werewolves that hunted under the full moon. Cooper decided to interrogate Captain Ryan and ask what he was doing there. Ryan was reluctant to talk, but strangely enough, they found him injured and weak. Before they fully entered the house, Ryan suddenly tried to escape and pulled a gun on Cooper, but Megan hit him hard and forced him to drop the weapon. When they removed the bandages, they realized his wounds had healed unnaturally fast, which raised suspicion. At that moment, the power went out across the house because the werewolves had destroyed the generators. According to Ryan, the werewolves could see in the dark, which made them a terrifying threat to the soldiers. Cooper ordered everyone to stay calm and told Megan to keep an eye on Ryan because he was a possible threat. One soldier noticed movement at the back door handle, while the werewolves began slamming the front door from outside. They tried to reinforce the doors and windows, but the creatures started breaking through, forcing the soldiers to open fire with everything they had. One soldier couldn't reload his weapon and struggled to close the door by any means. Cooper ran to the stove, threw hot water in a werewolf's face, and then shot it with his rifle, but the creature managed to grab his weapon. After that, he threw a grenade through the window to stop it from entering. Another soldier tried to block the door with a cabinet, but a werewolf punched it hard from outside. In the chaos, one soldier was crushed when a gas cylinder exploded on him, and he screamed for help. At that moment, Cooper used a knife and cut off a werewolf's hand. But the creatures kept trying to enter through any opening they could find, and one of them managed to slowly crawl in through the window. Cooper and the soldier tried to warn the others, but the creature grabbed one of them by the legs. Harry woke up, and together they opened fire and managed to throw the monster out the window. After the first attack ended, Terry mocked the creature's strength, but suddenly he was violently dragged out through the window and disappeared. Megan watched as the soldier was taken from the group. They quickly boarded up the windows again for temporary safety, but they still had 6 hours until dawn, and they had to find a way to survive until then. Their ammunition was nearly gone, and Megan watched from the window as the werewolves waited for the perfect moment to attack again. She asked if anyone knew how to connect the car wires in the stable to start it, but no one had the key. Cooper came up with a plan to distract the werewolves. One soldier was lowered out of the window using a rope, shouting and firing distress signals to draw them away. When a werewolf chased after him, Cooper used the distraction to run toward the stable safely. The soldier was pulled back up, but a werewolf grabbed him through the window. He tried cutting the rope with his knife, while Megan used a flashlight to disorient the creature. They managed to take the werewolf down, and finally Cooper got the car started. But what he saw next was the worst sight of his life. A werewolf was eating Terry while he was still alive, tearing off his head and throwing it against the glass. The soldier tried to fight back as the werewolf attempted to open the Jeep door. In the end, he struck it with all his strength, managed to push it away, and then drove off at high speed, smashing through the stable door and escaping. But when the car stopped, he discovered that a werewolf was sitting in the back seat. He chased it with a knife, but in the end the werewolf killed Joe. When the rest of the team tried to get into the vehicle, they found the werewolf violently eating Joe. Megan fired her gun to push the werewolf out of the car, giving the sergeant a chance to lock the door again. Everything was lost, and Cooper tried one last time to start the Jeep, but the werewolves had completely destroyed it. This was Cooper's last chance to let Ryan explain everything he knew about these creatures. With arrogance, Captain Ryan said that Sergeant Harry's unit had been a perfect bait for slaughter. He knew Cooper would lead them straight to the werewolves and that the entire team would be wiped out, so he never intended to risk searching for them himself. The sergeant snapped and punched the captain in the face. When they lifted him up, they noticed his eyes had turned yellow like a wolf's. Ryan was already transforming. Fangs and claws started to appear, and he fully changed into a werewolf. They had to attack him with everything they had. Megan used a camera flash to disorient him, the sergeant struck him with a wooden piece, Cooper drove a sword into his back, and the soldier fired his weapon in every direction inside the room. The captain managed to escape through the window. After the attack ended, the door was locked again, and it became clear that this nightmare had no end until dawn. It also became obvious why the house had been empty. The family in the photos were all werewolves. The soldiers were inside their home. Megan concluded that werewolves behave like a wolf pack, gathering in one place for food, protection, and warmth. They realized that if the creatures weren't inside the house, they were likely in the stable. Cooper then came up with a plan to blow everything up using a gas cylinder. Megan locked the dog Sam inside a kitchen cabinet to protect it. Sergeant Harry insisted on staying behind to provide cover, but Cooper noticed his wounds were healing unnaturally fast, meaning he was also beginning to transform. Cooper told him he wouldn't leave him behind. They were brothers in arms. The sergeant agreed to join the final mission. The soldier then punctured the Jeep's fuel tank, and they loaded the gas cylinder into the vehicle. Cooper drove it a short distance, and jumped out before it reached the stable. The soldier tried to ignite the gasoline trail with a match but failed. Harry then threw a Molotov cocktail, setting the trail on fire. The flames reached the stable, and everything exploded. When they returned to the house, Megan revealed a shocking truth: she was part of a werewolf family. She had tried to join the soldiers to escape that life, but everything had gone wrong, and the voice inside her head had become stronger than her will. She began transforming, and Harry hit her on the head to stop her. The soldier then tried to reach his teammates upstairs, but a werewolf claw stopped him. With no ammo left, he locked himself inside the kitchen and prepared to fight with his bare hands. A massive werewolf broke through the door, and a brutal fight began. The soldier threw punches, grabbed a knife from the table, and stabbed the creature in the back. He kicked its jaw and ripped it apart. He kept stabbing it in the chest, but the werewolf remained strong. In desperation, he started throwing plates and bottles, but it didn't work. Eventually, the creature grabbed him by the neck and began to devour him. In the corner, the dog Sam barked bravely at one of the werewolves. Meanwhile, Cooper and Harry escaped upstairs, throwing a grenade that destroyed the stairs, but the werewolves kept chasing them. They locked themselves in the bathroom. The sergeant lit a flare and shot a werewolf in the face, while Cooper did something insane. He drove a sink nail straight into the creature's head. The sergeant kept firing through the door gap, while Cooper used his spear to break a hole in the wall. They escaped to the other side and blocked the hole with a cabinet and books, but another werewolf tried to break through the door. They hid inside a wardrobe, only to find skeletons of past victims. The sergeant fired into the ground, creating a hole to drop to the lower floor, where they found a secret door. Harry told Cooper he wouldn't run anymore and that he had to survive to tell the world the truth. He handed him the recorded film as evidence. Cooper went down with the dog Sam, while the sergeant began to transform. The sergeant cut the gas hose from the stove, and when a pack of werewolves approached, he ignited it, blowing everything up and killing all the creatures with him. Cooper stood among the remains of the massacre, surrounded by horrifying destruction. But one werewolf was still alive, the former Captain Ryan, still with the sword lodged in his chest. The creature moved and punched Cooper in the face, trying to pull out the sword to stab him with it. But Sam the dog jumped on it and pushed it away. Cooper found the silver dagger from the beginning of the film and quickly stabbed it into the creature's chest. The werewolf recoiled in pain, unable to attack due to the silver. Cooper then fired his gun and finished it with the final bullet. At sunrise, Cooper and Sam were the only survivors of the horrific incident. Cooper revealed the terror they had faced to the world and said a sentence that summed everything up: the werewolves destroyed his entire team. And that was the end of the film. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.